Oh, whoa, what's going on here?
Hey, Vermin, how
Hello.
you doing?
I'm doing well. Hello. I'm sorry. I obviously had some serious boomer related issues. I would have to describe them as. I apologize for that. Um, and this is voice only.
Yes.
So we will just, for the purposes of our of comfort, we will just pretend that the boot is on my head at all times.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we had a hot question here. A user wanted to know how much is the Supreme brand paying you to wear the boot?
Surprisingly, I have no corporate sponsors. Um, I have, although I've tried. There's actually a mint company out of Vermont called Vermints, with the word vermin in it. And what is that? What is that? No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So are you on desktop?
Yeah, yes, I am. I'm a boomer.
Okay. Yeah, that's the sound Discord makes when anyone joins the server. There's a way you can set that up so you don't hear that. On the bottom left,
Okay.
where it has your username, there's a little
Yeah.
cog wheel that's for
Yes.
user settings.
Okay.
If you
There. Yep.
click that and you scroll down near the bottom, it says streamer mode.
Yep. Got it.
Click that, and then on
Okay.
the top, it's going to be enable streamer mode.
Oh,
And then you can just click X on the top right to exit out, and that you won't be able to hear those sounds.
okay. Very good. Yeah, sounded like I was in the middle of in a pinball machine or something, and I was doing quite well. Yeah, it's still going on, but whatever.
Didn't fall through the hole yet.
Let's see. Well, I guess I could try that again, or maybe it just took a moment to stop. All right. Hello. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
it's still going.
Yeah,
So
going to
yeah, bottom left, user settings. Then near the bottom there is streamer mode, and then
the.
there's on the top. It's going to give you a list of options. At the top, there's going to be
Hold on.
enable streamer mode.
I'm going way back. I fucked up already. Hello.
Okay. So you got the cogwheel.
No, Jesus, I don't even know what's going on here now. Let's see. Log out. Streamer mode. Okay. Try that
Yeah.
again. Okay, and just X out that whole section.
Well, if you clicked on streamer mode at the very top, there's gonna be a
Click on
list of options. You just
Okay.
have to click the one that says enable streamer mode. It's
So
gonna be
should
a little
okay.
yeah.
A little
You
switch.
see that?
Yep, I think I clicked the little switch.
Yeah. You may also need to select disable sounds and disable notifications.
I think the enable stream mode does that. I mean,
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think we're good on that.
seems like we're good. Okay.
Fantastic. All right. So yeah, as I was saying before, I was so distracted. Yes, no, I have no corporate sponsorship. You would think the Supreme people would. You would think there would be a dental orifice company that would support my dental crusade. Or like I say, a mint company in Vermont called Vermint, Vermint, seems to want no interest. Why you would include the name vermin in something you put in your mouth? I'm not sure about, but anyway.
All right. So for anyone that doesn't know yet, we've got here Vermin Supreme, the man, the myth, the legend, the man with the boot, the man with the fairy dust. Well, obviously, I would assume you know yourself a bit better than I do. Is there anything you'd like to say to introduce yourself to anyone who doesn't know you yet?
Well, but I guess I've been all about breaking that whole fourth wall and the deconstruction of what it is that I do. So sure, I will say that I am a highly respected political satirist, beloved by millions. And of course, over the past 30 years, I've run a number of facetious satirical presidential campaigns utilizing the hot button issues of dental hygiene, mandatory toothbrushing laws, zombie preparedness, time travel research, and of course, free ponies for all Americans. It is a federal pony identification system. You must have your pony with you at all times. But I suspect many people know that. Yes. So that's all I would say.
All right.
And of course, I will say that yes, people should know, and if they do not know already, they probably will know shortly that I am seeking the Libertarian Party nomination for their presidential candidate. and I've been working that for over a year now. And it is a much more serious endeavor than any of my previous campaigns. I can say that clearly.
All right. So let's jump into this here. A couple general questions. Why are you running for the Libertarian Party nomination as opposed to another one?
The Libertarian Party lines up closely with my basic principles and understanding. My reaching the point of joining the Libertarian Party has been a long and slow slog. Of course, I came up more from the rainbow or left anarchist perspective, and it took me quite a while to overcome the stereotypes and the prejudgment and my own prejudices against what I perceived to be the negative connotations of libertarians and the like. But after a number of years of slowly getting to know them and working with them, it became clear that I had a vast libertarian audience. And essentially, they welcomed me into their party. They more or less invited me, slowly grooming or bringing me in, if you will. And it just seemed like a very natural fit. From my understanding, it is the only political party that actively welcomes anarchists. And of course, I've self-identified as an anarchist for about forever. And so the Libertarian Party is indeed a party of minarchists and anarchists working together to dismantle the state. And so it was just a very natural fit for me. And once I, read the platform, if you haven't read the platform or aren't familiar with it, check out lp.org/platform. There was certainly a lot more that I agreed with than disagreed with. The anti-war stances, the pro-sex work stances, the pro-individual liberties stances. There's just a lot going on there. Um, and so I feel very good about coming to the point where I can say, yes, I am a left anarchist libertarian and be quite comfortable with that.
All right. So before we, jump right into the users' questions, which of course is the focus of what we do here. I know there's been some controversial issues here. I know the evangelical community has had some issues with the fairy dust and turning people gay, and I know the pony industry is worried about what you'll do to the market. So, are there any questions that you want to, us to avoid here? Any topics we don't want to discuss?
No, I think the nature of an AMA, the second A does in fact stand for anything. So I think you can ask anything if it gets too wacky, or if I need to deflect or pivot or just flat out deny that question. I mean that happens, and so no, of course AMA. Ask me anything. It's in the name. So yes, go right ahead.
All right. And if you want to pivot or juke any questions, we will just move, we'll play along and we'll pretend we didn't see anything. We'll move on to the next question.
Thank you. No, that's one of the beautiful things about what I get to do is because I get to answer the various questions in several ways, shapes, or form. I mean, I might be able to answer it in a completely humorous or facetious manner, or maybe I'll give you a straight answer. It really depends on the pitch, I guess.
Okay. All right. So first question I want to take here is from American Legend. American Legend. Oh, I'm sorry. One quick other question here. We usually let trusted members of community, people we've had on here for a few months that we've developed a relationship with, ask questions themselves if they mark VC at the beginning of their question. Is that something you're okay with, or do you want me to ask all the questions?
No, I think that's acceptable. I have no problem with that
Okay.
as long as I can hear him. Yeah.
All right. So American Legend wants to know. Well, he says John McAfee has reached out to be your VP, vice presidential pick. Would you ever consider having him as a running mate, or do you have someone else in mind?
Well, the fact of the matter is, I have chosen a running mate. His name is Spike Cohen. He is a podcaster out of South Carolina, and he is a principled uh, and anarcho-capitalist libertarian with a lot of respect in the party. And we did choose him to balance the ticket in that direction. He's a great communicator. He's got great takes on almost everything, and he's been a real wonderful vice presidential candidate to be working with. Now, naturally, it's worth noting that ultimately the Libertarian Party delegates at the nominating convention have the option of choosing the vice presidential candidate separately from the presidential candidate. So that's an interesting aside. If you're not familiar with how the party chooses its candidates, they could pick you. They could pick a person as a nominee, and then totally disregard their desires and choose a totally different VP pick. Also of note, I will mention that early on in my campaign, it was like over a year and a half ago since I was recruited to run this more serious campaign. We did put out feelers to the McAfee camp to if they were interested in the VP, and at the time, he was not. So I guess it was just a matter of the timing that didn't work out for us there.
All right. Dawn has a question which is near and dear to my heart. What is your favorite type of beer?
I definitely lean towards the stouts. I am a big fan of a good, a nice dark and bitter stout. Of course, and
Ooh.
don't have a real favorite, a favorite brand, but I do enjoy a lot of the craft beers because it seems like the craft beers, craft brewing operations really go out of their way to make some very interesting stouts these days.
Have you ever tried the Narwhal Imperial Stout?
It sounds very familiar, but if I did, I can't recall the taste immediately.
Okay.
I wish
That's
I
one
had
of my
one right
favorite
now,
stout.
though.
It's one of my favorite stouts, but it's quite a headache. I think it's 13%, so you can't have too many.
Yeah, man. Woo!
All right. X-Ray Vision wants to know, what do you think of Georgism, that is a tax on the unimproved value of land?
Well, I'm not real big on taxes, of course, and taxing unused land seems a little silly. Um, and I do like people named George,
Oh,
so
well.
yes, sure.
All right. And Andrew Robertson wants to know, if you had to pick, and I know it's a tough question putting in the you have to, but if you had to pick Trump or Biden?
To catch COVID.
For president.
Yeah, luckily I don't have to, but you're saying I have to?
It's the hypothetical. You can reject the hypothetical.
Yeah, that's about as much of a stretch as one of those questions like, "What am I gonna do if I'm the president?" I mean, come on.
All right. And maybe wants to know, who's going to pay for all them ponies?
Ah, well, there you go. And all I can say is that the questionnaire, obviously, I don't mean this in a derogatory fashion at all, has a fundamental misunderstanding of ponynomics. And essentially, what you need to know about ponynomics 101, if you will, is that once we have achieved universal pony ownership, then we will possess equity in the ponies that we own. Now, as you know, once you have equity in something, you can certainly borrow against it. And so, once we have clearly established pony based debt in the economy, we will be able to exploit it, and we will be able to bring in the bestest and the brightest of the Ivy League financial instrument schools, who will come up with all sorts of extremely hard and opaque things to understand. Because that's right, I am going to be creating a bubble in the economy, a pony debt bubble, a very, very large pony debt bubble in the economy. And of course, when you have a bubble going on in your economy, everything is awesome. All cylinders are firing. Everybody's making money. Everybody's employed. Wall Street's going through the roof, and it's an amazing moment in the economy. Now, as you know, unfortunately, many bubbles burst, but this particular bubble, this pony debt bubble, and let's be clear, debt is a major monetary instrument in and of itself. I mean, debt is a very large part of the economy. Debt is the big part of any business plan. You can buy debt, you can sell debt, you can trade debt, you can do all sorts of amazing things with debt. And essentially, debt is, many people think of it as a negative number, but not necessarily. I mean, it is its own uh, form. And so once we use this debt and max out all this debt and create this big giant bubble in the economy, once again, it will never burst because it is going to be steel belted and reinforced and last forever. Now that's just the economics part. Now I'd like to get back to the viewers or the listeners or the typers question or what have you, participant, I suppose. Um, Free ponies. Now, the part about free ponies is they are absolutely free. So, where are these free ponies coming from? Who is paying for them? Number one, nobody is paying anything for these ponies. And I'm going to tell you why right now. Now, essentially, it goes like this: when a boy pony likes a girl pony and they like each other and they might want to get together and especially if the female pony is in estrus or in heat as we say. So the two ponies they'll go off and the boy pony will mount the girl pony because the girl pony will be presenting herself to the boy pony, and the boy pony will sort of find that irresistible because you know how that is when animals are in heat like that. And so anyway, the boy pony jumps up on the girl pony and like gives the girl pony this very special pony hug, and it starts thrusting and then the pony's big pony penis appendage comes out of its like sheath, and then it enters the girl pony's vagina, and they go at it for a little bit, and it's pony, and they're making all sorts of pony noises and stuff, and the boy pony will ejaculate from its boy pony penis into the girl pony vagina, and the sperm, the pony sperm, will travel up the girl pony's vagina canal up to the egg, and the egg will be fertilized, and the pony egg will start to divide at that very moment and continue dividing, and then about 11 months later, boom, free pony.
Yes, you present many. All right, you've got some ideas here that I think many moderate, reasonable people would get behind. But what are you going to do about pony oral hygiene?
Naturally, that's a function of a subdivision of the secret dental police, which will be established throughout this great nation of ours, and that will be the equine division of the pony police. And once the secret dental police have set up the checkpoints every couple hundred yards or so, they will indeed be inspecting you and your pony's teeth, and that is twofold because they will also be checking the matching tattoo, the barcode tattoo on your and your pony's lips, because they want to make sure that they match in order to make sure that it's actually you and your pony.
All right. And speaking of the secret pony police here, Mr. Russells wants to know, in general, what is your take on secret societies in the U.S. and around the world?
Well, they're secret societies, and I guess that's their right if they can keep that secret. I know I'm have like a secret society or two that we certainly try and keep secret, and they are private entities, I suppose. So I guess if they can keep their secrets, I mean, just between you and me, I mean, But I've always found that it's very hard to keep secrets, and it's very hard to keep secret things away from prying eyes. And if people can maintain such secrecy on such a level for such lengths of time, um, I guess they're doing a pretty good job.
All right. And I know you said earlier, you don't like certain questions like, what would you do if you won the presidency? So Toasty Terrorist asks, if you actually won the presidency, what would you do?
That's a very interesting hypothetical question. One which, in this case, I'll allow because it seems to be a pretty casual little forum and format and what have you. Um, and day one, total day one, I would take it off. I would like be, whoa, I can't believe that I'm really the president of America. And I'd be pretty wiped out and probably do a few bong hits and some vapes and smoke a few joints and wander around the White House. And, okay, it would probably take a few days to really just to adjust to the fact that that actually happened. And then, of course, I'd want to institute my ponies in space program and the space horse, and start the legislation that would get every American their pony, and probably ultimately get me impeached. Um, so yeah, there would be a lot going on there, and of course, by decree, I'm sure I would certainly release all the political prisoners. I would pardon all of the nonviolent, not victimless criminals that were incarcerated. Mass incarceration is a very big problem for me. It really sticks in my craw, and this current COVID crisis certainly hammers that home. They're pretty horrible and frightening institutions. I'm personally a few clicks away from a prison abolitionist. Um, but that's another story. Of course, I would do anything within my presidential powers to peel back the surveillance state by decree, um, demanding the CIAs and FBI's leave the American citizens' business alone. I suppose I would also try and end the drug war immediately, of course. Boom, another major issue. Legalize the use of whatever substances might float your boat, and see how that goes. Of course, we'll tie that into treatment too. Sure, why not? We'll make it a twofer. um, and try and peel back the police state, the powers of the police, and try and reinforce the protections of the Fourth and the Fifth Amendments and the First Amendments and the Third Amendment especially. I mean, once they start putting those soldiers on your couch, man, then forget about it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just to start, I think I'd bring it back to the some basic constitutional things. Try and peel back the taxes, defund the IRS, start taking down various, um, strip down the military. I think there's a lot of things that could be peeled back before we start yanking away the people's safety net, if you will. I mean, granted, the safety net has been successful in catching and containing poor people. But I believe that we must certainly be able to present some sort of transitional features, some things that will make the transition times a little more palatable, if not terrible. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
But I digress. Perhaps I don't digress. Am I digressing? I'm not sure. You let me know.
I don't know. I don't think you are. Anyways, if you were, I don't know if I'm the one to ask here. I think the guy who was to ask for that question is muted, so we will
Yeah,
never know.
no worries.
User Ya asks. User,
Ah, I like that.
yes. Ya asks, what drugs will this man legalize?
Well, I believe that I will go with the Libertarian Party platform. Since I'm running for the Libertarian Party nomination, I have somewhat, I've made this sort of agreement with myself that I would promote their platform because that's what they stand for, and one of their platform planks does indeed clearly state that people have the right to take into their bodies whatever the heck they want to with their full knowledge and consent and all that things. And certainly they should know the purity and whatever. But I personally believe that most drugs, if not all drugs, can uh, be used in a moderate fashion, if so chosen in an excessive manner, if that is what you also choose. But you also must be responsible for the consequences of such actions.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean the weed, of course, is harmless. The psychedelics are very useful. Um, so the opiates, I mean, of course they should be widely available for pain management, but also the opioid, the addictions are pretty harsh and terrible and have uh, frightening repercussions on the community and loved ones surrounding them. Nothing against functional junkies, mind you, because I've known plenty in my time. But it is a hard it seems it's a hard thing for a lot of people who are addicted to keep their shit together. And
Mhm.
so yes, of course, as a society, not necessarily as a government, but as a society, we would want to, or I believe that we do want to, provide as much treatment and alternatives as possible for those who do have problems with their drug consumption and alcohol consumption, what
All
have you.
right. All right. And user Ruby wants to know, what are your opinions on coronavirus? Are you pro or anti coronavirus?
Well, I was looking at some of the literature for the COVID 2020 campaign, and that seems very promising. But COVID-19, it seems so last year. I mean, really, people, can't we even keep up with the current year? It seems like we just got out of 2019, and here we are living in COVID-19. And I'm gotta say, I'm not loving it too much. I mean, it was bad enough. We're all sitting here hearing story after story about environmental degradation and songbirds disappearing and insect populations crashing and permafrost melting and you're just getting ready for the next mega hurricane or wicked tornado coming our way or watching the tide rise and then you got an eye, and then it's like, well, at least the government's getting ready for it with all these paramilitary police forces training in crowd control and getting army tanks and all sorts of cool weapons and shit. And it's like, well, what's it going to be? Is it going to be the government clampdown's going to land on us first, or is it going to be the total environmental collapse? And then they threw this curveball at us, COVID-19. Holy moly! Boy, that just threw me for a little bit of a loop, I gotta tell you. So it is some pretty crazy times that we are in. And yes, I have been washing my hands, and yes, I have been maintaining a social, a physical distance. I still believe that we can still be emotionally connected and mentally connected and connected by our hearts. I don't think we have to give up on that. And there's always phone sex. So hey, um, so yeah, I'm definitely against what COVID-19 seems to be doing or forcing us into to be responsible, which involves physical separation. It's very counter human. It's very counterintuitive being people. But on the other hand, it's certainly given us the opportunity to extend voluntarism and mutual aid and charity, and a lot of people have been stepping up and making sure that their kinfolk are okay, and folks prone to anxiety or depression are checked in on, and the elderly have their food and enough toilet paper or whatever. And different organizations like the Ohio Libertarian Party has put together a meal program, because a lot, all these kids are out of school now, and they might not be getting the only meal out of the day, and people are out of work and at home and trying to get along and be patient with one another. And yeah, it's So I'm not a big COVID fan, but once again, it's shaking things up, that's for sure. And I've been one of the things that I've been trying to put out there is that in a sense we are in a pause. We are in a hibernation state. We are in a cocoon, if you will, and it seems like we will be stepping out and climbing out at some point. And I think now is the time to really look at things and look at the way all these things that were deemed necessary or understood to be just the way they were, and now they are not that way at all. Of course, I'm referencing a lot of people who are uh, finding that they can telecommute, and that they don't have to be in the office and they don't have to drive an hour through traffic to do that. And the possibilities that schooling can just as easily, or well, I say that not as a parent, of course, parents probably have a different opinion, but just as easily be done at home. That the education can occur in places other than these big public school buildings, which are obviously a breeding ground for diseases, apparently, and and this type of thing. And it's going to be very interesting to see what things break. Um, where I mean, rent is going to be due soon enough, and all these people are not working, and the statistics always stated how how close to the edge people were, just a couple paychecks away from ruin. And I am cautiously optimistic that we will all come up with some pretty groovy ideas and concepts. I mean, it's really the time to practice our mutual aid and get our people together and make sure that our families are strong enough to maintain, and that our communities can watch out or help or catch us as we fall. Um, let's do it, people. Let's keep the faith.
All right. Our next question comes from Mike Escape, who has a question near and dear to his heart. Who would you rather fight, a lion or a cheetah?
Hmm. I think a cheetah would run away. Maybe not though. Um, but I think obviously cheetahs are smaller. They're smaller, but they're faster. Lions are pretty big. I guess this is somehow related to the Lion King or something, or the Tiger King, or maybe it's not at all. Um, I'd rather be a lion fighting a cheetah. How about that?
All right. And let's see. User Scavenger Berkarov has been active in our server's mock government, and he wants to know: would you join our server's Libertarian Party in the mock government?
Well, once again, I'm a little bit of a boomer, so I sort of know what most of those words mean. I'm not sure what they all mean strung together. I assume it's some sort of a imaginary digital place that people hang out. And if that's the case, I'm sure that I could join it and seldom visit it, perhaps.
Probably. All right. So if you actually are interested, just go down to mock government, where there's the register to vote, and all you gotta do is click. Let's see here. The next question we've got here.
Now this is an interesting fun fact about the Libertarian Party for y'all.
Mhm.
It is I won't say it's a mock government type of exercise, but it is those people that they love their Robert's Rules of Order. And I've attended a number of these business sessions at these conventions, and it's an entire room full of people, up to 100 different people, who use this guidebook, the Robert's Rules of Order, to change some very, like, if they want to change a place of a comma in their bylaws or some such. And it's very interesting. I don't want to say they're nerds, but it's a little political nerd type of thing. It's pretty fun. Nothing against nerds.
Yeah.
They are the subcultures that.
Some of them are cute.
Huh?
I said some of them are cute.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So next, Stalin wants to know, what is your opinion on anti-disestablishmentarianism?
That is one mighty long word, and that might be one of the longest words since supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And yes, I think I am pro or anti disestablishmentarianism.
I think there's a double negative in there. Anti-disestablishment. Yeah.
Okay,
Sounds
so
like it's opposition to the establishment.
we have to look that one up. It's a great word, but it's not the longest word. It's a pretty long word, but it's definitely not the longest. I think the longest word is smiles, because there's a
Hmm.
mile between each S.
Ah. All right.
I'm old. I can make grandpa jokes.
We call those dad jokes, but yeah, we can call them grandpa jokes too. So next question comes from Jordan, who wants to know, who is your favorite author?
Let's see. Boy, I loved Dalton Trumbull. Johnny Got His Gun. Like Keller, no, Joseph Heller, Catch 22. That was like one of my favorite books. Um, Kropotkin, I like the Kropotkin book, Mutual Aid. I don't read a lot of books these days. Does anybody here read books these days? Probably.
On Audible, yeah.
Okay. And of course, this seems like a pretty obvious time to plug my own book,
Oh,
I Pony, Blueprint for a New America. It's a book. It's a book about the future long after my presidency, after everybody has their pony, after zombie power fuels the nation, after time travel is used in foreign diplomacy on a daily basis, and after the secret dental police have set up checkpoints every couple hundred yards. It's a warning from the people of the future to you, the people of their past, your present, that Vermin Supreme is a madman and must be stopped. So it's a great book. I wrote it. It's at least 100 pages. It's a novella technically, because I knew I couldn't write a full novel, because that's like 200 or something pages, and a novella 100 pages I could totally do that. And so it's a picture book. It's a coffee table book. It's like 8 by 11 or so. It has like 14 different artists represented, each one illustrating a different chapter, and a lot of zombies. King Kong's Zombie Kong is in there. It's an exciting book, and it's available at iponythebook.com or iponybook.com. I think iponythebook.com.
all
Yes.
right. It's also on Amazon, I see here.
I think it is. I think if you get it through the if you get it through the Bob Tomistic website, I think we get a little bit more money on it.
All right. So I'll just link that in announcements. I will delete the Amazon link. So
Thank you. I
get a little bit more money.
I mean, probably not much, a few pennies or whatever, but still.
And on that, I've got to ask, is an Audible version coming along anytime soon?
I think it is. I was just out of Florida with a gentleman that I had lost contact with. It was a project we had discussed for quite a while. And I got a company in Boston that is willing to do that also. So I think that will. And ultimately, it'll be an ebook. But of course, I think we just want to maximize the hard copies that we could sell, because I think we get a little bit more on that for sure. And of course, the pictures are so awesome in the bigger book version. But I think we will be going audiobook for sure. including
right.
the. I think there might be one or two chapters up online. I think if you look hard, you can. It seems that the Pony Erotica chapter, prologue 2, seems to get a lot of reaction. It's always a very interesting and fun thing to do readings from.
All right. And if I remember right, I think you had a conversation recently with Sam Robb, unless I'm mixing something up. And it came up that you have a lot of brony and furry fans. What's up with that?
Well, once again, I mean, there are so many subcultures here in America. Okay, I mean, and the furries and the bronies and the kinky sexters and the crypto nerds and the roller derby girls and the comic cons and the cosplayers and the anime freaks and there's just a zillion different little weird subcultures in America, and pretty much they all fall under the nerd or geek umbrella. And luckily for me, that is definitely my primary fan base. Most people who identify with the Magic the card game or there's just so many weird little nerd culture. They have an affinity. They get me, and so I count many of these strange little subcultures as part of my constituency portfolio, if you will. Now, the bronies in particular, of course, they were very attracted to me because of my pro free pony platform. And in 2012, when I did the glitter bombing of Randall Terry, um, that went viral, the brony community, I think, were the ones that pushed me from being a viral entity to being a full fledged meme. They were the ones who were doing the anthropomorphic versions of me as a pony and things of that nature. So they sort of pushed me, into this sort of immortality, if you will. And if you're familiar with the song "I Am a Meme," I don't know if you're familiar with there's a song that it's pretty
I'm
much my only hit single that wasn't really so much of a hit, but it was a single, and it's called "I Am a Meme." I think you should link to that immediately and probably play it on outro. But there's a line in there. I am a meme. My name is Vermin Supreme. I am a meme on your computer screen. I am a meme. I take my coffee with cream. I am a meme. I am the bronies queen. Meme, 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 meme. Anyway, that was a little lick from that, but I did give the bronies a full-on shout out and did claim to be their queen. So there is that, and of course, furries are freaks, and obviously, I'm the candidate of the freaks. I don't think there's anything any denying that. No siree.
right. I was considering playing the song for everyone here, but why do we need the song played if we've got the live acapella? If anyone wants to check out the video, it's in announcements. You can save that to your watch list. Uh, Next question we've got. Go ahead.
I dropped that song like 2 or 3 days before the Gregory brothers put out their auto tune the news, the make money turn gay. That one. That
Hmm.
one. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, okay. Definitely look it up. Yes, I was auto tuned.
Oh.
Auto tuned me. It was in 2012. Truly a classic. I was actually the first auto tune the news.
All
And
right. So
I'll,
get
I'll sing
into.
that one for you.
Go ahead.
My name is Vermin. See, I'm being auto tuned. Vermin Supreme, and you can vote for me for president if you want. Anyway, yes. Go ahead. Next question. I'm getting self indulgent.
Do that as much as you want. I'm sure everyone's muted, but I'm telling you, people are laughing their asses off. I'm trying hard to contain it. So our next question, getting a little bit serious here. Chief Rocket Designer wants to know: would you be against creating genetically engineered seahorses to ride around the seas if someone was in the occupation of a sailor?
I think that's a softball, and the answer is obviously yes. I'll bring that up with Zoltan, the transhumanist candidate. I will definitely bring that up with him.
All right. And
Now,
American. Go
in
ahead.
my book, I will spoiler alert. This is in my book. Yes, there is a platoon of human pony hybrids, surgical. Surgically created human pony hybrids. Now, nobody really understands why these men volunteered to have their upper halves sewn onto the head neck part of a pony, but they did, and it's an epic battle between the centaurs, the pony centaurs, and the zombies and the flying winged monkeys. It's quite a battle, and maybe I'll read it for you someday.
No, I would love that.
And it's in the book.
Our next question comes from American Legend, who asks, "You have your meme policies and your real policies. Uh, which meme policy and which real policy are you most passionate about?"
Well, I the meme policy is probably the ponies. The people see that seems to have the most resonance. But the mandatory toothbrushing law also. I mean, it's all about is something really free or not free? Um, I think they're both about the sort of nanny state offerings. Um, the brush your teeth thing came from the Massachusetts put up a mandatory seatbelt law back in the early '80s, and that was my response to it. So I think that's my favorite one, I guess. And real ones, I guess emptying the jails, the mass incarceration, freeing the people that don't need to be behind bars. I think that's a really good start. Drug wars. Yeah, I think the ones that I mentioned before, and most of them are reflected in the Libertarian Party platform, because that's what I'm repping these days, kids. True
All
story.
right. User Queen of Hearts wants to know, how many times have you dropped acid?
Well, I can say for a fact that I don't know if you know about William Weld, Bill Weld, former governor of Massachusetts.
Mhm.
He was Gary Johnson's running mate, and while he was the governor of Massachusetts, he was sort of known as the cool governor because he has to go see the Grateful Dead shows when they were in town. I definitely dropped a lot more acid than Bill Weld, and I would say that in fact. Psychedelic drugs, I used to gobble them quite readily when I was a kid, when I was a young person, young adult, and they definitely made me the politician that I am today. They allowed me the opportunity to look at the world in a very different fashion, to sort of step outside of reality in order to sort of look at it and see things that you might not see if you weren't able to step outside for a minute. And I'd say it definitely informed my abilities to make fun of things for sure. So yes, lots of times, kids. Now, once again, of course, be careful. Take all the recommended precautions when psychedelic exploration. Ideally have a guide there with you, somebody you trust and in love who will see you through it if it becomes rough or whatever. And you know, you want to plan these things, and ideally, I mean, they're great recreational things. Sure, it's go to a concert and see all the lights and colors and freak out and stuff, and but they're also very powerful tools that you can use to explore your relationship to the cosmos and questions of ethics and morals and life choices and all of these things. So yes, be careful with anything, but I would say that I came out better for it.
All right. And Mike Escape wants to know, on sex worker rights, do you support them?
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. It's a platform. It's one of the platforms of the Libertarian Party. It's the only major party that has pro sex work as a part of the platform. And there are many sex workers in the Libertarian Party, and there is an actual sex workers caucus within the party. And I believe that I have a very decent support community in the sex worker community. It's another one of my constituent bases, which I'm very thankful for, and I respect the hell out of them. Sex work is work.
All right. And Chief Rocket Designer wants to know, what is your opinion on centrally planned proletarian-owned pony farms?
Well, it all depends on who's doing the centrally owned, of course. If it's centrally owned by the government, I would have to be ultimately against that. If it was centrally owned by somebody who owned the means of pony production, I guess that would be okay. Or if it was being run by a cooperative, a voluntary collective cooperative that was sharing the dividends and what have you in any way, shape, or form that they saw fit. So as long as it works, as long as there are economic benefits, and that will ultimately shake itself out in the marketplace. But if you can produce enough free ponies, man, more power to you.
All right. And this is obviously a little bit of an unfriendly question here, but I think you're strong enough to handle it. Otherwise, I would guide you and protect you. I'm happy always to be a spirit guide if you want to drop acid or drop anything else. If you want to drop a CD, just let me know. But First Amender wants to know, uh, how do you think that the general voting public can take libertarianism seriously if their candidate is going to be a man walking around with a boot on his head?
Well, that's a very valid question, and of course, it's something that I've been working against, the being typecast, if you will. And essentially, what I am offering, when I talk to a lot of these libertarian conventions and the such, part of my explanation is, can that's because that's a question. Can a serious party put up a perceived or someone who has been perceived as a joke candidate, and not have that shit stick to them and not perceived as a joke party? And I believe that the answer is yes. And granted, it's a very bold strategy, but I have a number of very principled libertarians working on my campaign. I have a lot of support in the Libertarian Party itself, and they believe that a Vermin Supreme candidacy is a valid way forward for the party. I believe the hashtag in on the joke and the hashtags we are in on the joke or hashtag in on the joke will help inoculate the party. I think if the party owns the joke, if they make the public understand that it is their joke, that Vermin Supreme is their joke, and they are making the joke. I believe that they can put out statements to the effect of, "We are the Libertarian Party, and we are a very serious party, and we have been doing very serious things for many years, and our ideas are valid and they are real. However, the duopoly presidential election process has risen to the level of a joke, and with love and with spite, here is Vermin Supreme. Enjoy." And so it might not appeal to everyone, but I personally believe that most people are clever enough or smart enough to see essentially that what I have been doing for the past 30 years is indeed a joke, albeit a very serious joke with a very serious commentary on the political process. Um, and I believe that I am positioned in a fashion that I will be able to reach out to a very large constituency. And essentially what it is, I am making an offer to the Libertarian Party. I've had 30 years of satirical campaigning under my belt, and that has allowed me to rise to obtain a level of notoriety that enables me to make this offer. And the offer that I'm making is indeed, yes, it includes my character. It includes the the satirical platform planks. It includes the fan base, the massive social media presence, the reservoir of goodwill and political capital, if you will. And that is what I am offering to share with the Libertarian Party if the delegates agree and if the party agrees that that is a tact, that that is a strategy that they believe that they can propel the ideas of liberty forward. What could be more libertarian than wearing a boot on your head if you want to? It is the party of individuality. It is the party of self ownership. It is the party of self expression. It is completely consistent. And I believe that, this character and the communication strategy that I have developed will indeed be a very useful tool in terms of imparting and educating the public in terms of what it means to be libertarian and what it is, and helping dispel a number of the negative stereotypes related to it. I mean, personally, I think a number of the stereotypes and prejudices against libertarians and libertarians' ideas in general are much more harmful than a person with a boot on their head running for president in the party. Um, so I disagree, and I believe that the what I bring to the party is my campaign staff believes firmly that out of the current crop of candidates that I am the most likely to possibly bring in 5% of the general election. And so then you start throwing around the statistics. 3.9 million high school kids graduate a year. Give me two of those years. That's 8 million kids. Add that to the 17 million college kids. That's a pool of 25 million voters. If we were able to grab one out of four of those voters, that would be 6.5 million, or the 5%. And that does not include the thousands of subcultures to which I've alluded to. It certainly doesn't even begin to touch the over 100 million disaffected, disillusioned, and disgusted people who do not vote anymore, who are so fed up with the system. But our speculation is that if I am the choice, if I am on the ballot in all 50 states, we can create a viral, a meme-based campaign that would appeal to the young people, that will bring young people to the Libertarian Party, that will, just my involvement in the Libertarian Party, I believe, has caused a number of people to have to actually recalibrate their impression and understanding of what the Libertarian Party might be. I mean, it is not a right-leaning monolith, and that is one of the misperceptions that I believe that a lot of people have, and I know that I had it for many years. But it does have an internal left-right dynamic, and it's so there's just a lot more going on there than people even know about. So it's been very interesting. I mean, once again, it's the only party that welcomes anarchists, and it's the only party that has welcomed me with such open arms. And even the people who disagree that I should be the candidate, they still like me and they still appreciate my work. They just don't think, and that's fine. I understand that. And if I wasn't me, I would probably question it too. I'd say, really? But then you start laying out the possibilities, and they become very enticing. I mean, I've spent the past several the past 2 convention seasons, convincing people that the boot is not attached to my head, that I am not my character, that I'm not always on, that I'm not always disruptive, and that I'm a pretty reasonable guy with a reasonable grasp and a reasonable offer on the table. I mean, granted, it's a magic boot. I'm not saying the boot is not magic, because it is. It has allowed me to multiply my free speech exponentially. It's allowed me to communicate directly with millions of people across the globe, and interact with media from across the flat Earth. It's so it's an offer that I'm making. I mean, will it will some people forever say, "Oh, Libertarian Party, haha, what a joke, the boothead guy." But are other will the other people be saying, "Yeah, man, that's the coolest damn club." I'm saying my milkshake. I think we can bring the kids to the Libertarian yard. Just saying. Thank you.
All right. And the person who asked that question just wants to say that they respect your right to wear the boot.
Thank you. Thank you. And I respect your right to to not believe that I'm the best candidate for the party. I mean, I fully grok it, and I understand the opposition. And once again, that's how I know it's a real campaign. I mean, not only do I have many people working on it, there are a number of vocal critics and people who are vehemently opposed to it. And I understand it, and I get it, and I respect it, and I really want to um, try and address these issues and concerns as best as I possibly can because I want to represent everybody. Best as I
User
can.
again, yeah, wants to know: did Epstein kill himself?
He had it coming, and I don't think he did.
Oh, do you want to say more on that? That's a really interesting answer I haven't heard before.
No, I mean he was scum. He obviously had it coming, and I don't think that he did himself. He probably was killed by some fucking guards. I mean, I don't fucking know. I've got no idea. It seems awful fishy, but no, he's pedophile scum. He had it coming.
All right.
It,
And user
it,
Mike's, go ahead.
it totally sucks that all the people are because he was such a prime witness that the story's not getting out about all the connections and stuff. But there's still his girlfriend's still out there and shit. I mean, there's still some people who know the story, so it should come out.
All right. So let's see where. Next question here. Victor wants to know: what are your thoughts on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency?
And Dogecoin, I have all my I have all my stocks in Dogecoin. Yeah, no, they're all great. I mean, any sort of um, exchange that people want to agree that is something that you want to exchange for goods and services, and it stands the test of time, or serves the purpose that it serves. Yeah, sure, absolutely. And by the way, my campaign does take digital coinage. It does indeed. Please go to verminsupreme2020.com. If you look in the upper left hand on the screen, there's the donate. I think that's for credit cards, but underneath there's the little dash coin uh, thing that you can click on. And if you click that, throw me some coins. I know times are tough and uncertain, and this is really weird because once again, how I know it's a real campaign. My campaign has monthly bills that run higher than my personal monthly bills, and that is just really that's crazy, but it's true. Blows my mind. So feel free to help kick down that. It is a real campaign with a real 527. Got a real yes, it's pretty interesting. The 527, it's a tax exempt. I mean, it's not tax deductible, but it's this paper fiction. My campaign. It's called Pony Up for Vermin Supreme. It's a 527. It's a paper fiction with the FEC and I guess the IRS is on it, and it enables us to create a banking account and have a place to put tax exempt money that people are graciously giving me for this campaign. And another funny thing, how do I know this campaign is real? I have raised more this past year on this particular campaign than I did on every other campaign combined. Previous election years, 3K, $1,000 to get on the ballot in New Hampshire. The rest was bumper stickers and gasoline. But this has been amazing. The generosity and the people who have such an appreciation And I try and put it in the context of, for me, it's like, well, a lot of people kick down to a campaign because they think they're going to get something out of the deal. But for me, it seems it's always been entertainment. And I say, yeah, for every year that I've been entertaining you, how about throwing me down $5 or something? That would be great. And but if you go to Vermin Supreme 2020, we also have the merch store. You can buy merch, and that helps support the campaign. But of course, if you give us to it right, yeah. Well, I'm digressing again. I'm begging. I'm sorry. And this is the first campaign where I've ever actually begged. I've become an actual money grubbing politician. So the parody has gotten to this totally new level. It's a totally new level of the parody, the pretend politician becoming a real politician. It's a really strange year for me. Thank you.
Oh, right. So this next question just comes from me, so you know it's a good one. So you are the third, and I didn't even really, this wasn't planned or anything, but you're the third libertarian candidate that we've had on the server for an AMA. Just this past Friday, we had a libertarian roundtable with a couple of libertarian YouTubers and a couple of libertarian candidates. And I know with coronavirus going on, the actual
YouTubers, what are you gonna do, right? Am I right? Fucking YouTubers. I think I have a YouTube channel you can all check out. Maybe somebody will send it to me. But until then, we're on Discord. Let's make fun of the YouTubers. Am I right, people?
Yeah, fucking YouTubers. Ugh. Who would have YouTube? By the way, good time to plug. If you go to the events channel, we have a YouTube channel. Fucking YouTubers. Ugh, gross. Well, what I was gonna ask is, I know COVID or Wuhan virus or China virus, or I still think Corona is. I still think of it as coronavirus, but it's apparently everyone gets triggered over the other ones, so it's fun to use those. We've had now 3 libertarian candidates on the servers for an AMA and 2 on for a roundtable. If we were to hold a debate between libertarian candidates, would you be interested in coming on?
To get at this point, I run everything through my campaign. I run it through my staff. I've sort of deferred a lot of my free will, if you will. I mean, I am compromising my principles so that you do not have to. So because I have such a crackerjack staff with an understanding and idea of what we're going and where we're doing, I personally can't say yes or no. As much as I don't even love to. I love the fact that I can just pass it off to them. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. All right, yeah. So I mean, I can just reach out to them and see if we can
Yeah,
organize.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's a possible thing for sure. Nothing's impossible. No,
All right.
I'm just a very busy man, as you can imagine, running for president and all.
All right, and Krupnik wants to know what are your thoughts on foreign policy regarding North Korea?
I don't know. I'll bump to the Libertarian Party platform, which is ponies for all and foreign entanglements for none. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not it. There's no ponies involved at all. It actually involves no foreign entanglements. So in libertarian government, I believe there would be a lot less international involvement, perhaps, if it were, and probably we'd yank out of NATO if we could, and a lot of these type of radical type of activities. As far as little Rocket Man goes, well, by golly, I think I would use time travel to kill his pops when he was a baby.
That jumps right into one of the questions we had. Apart from, it seems like time travel and killing.
I did want to touch. I did want to quip on the COVID
Yeah.
19. Listen, if it actually turned people Chinese, okay, that would be one thing. Then I would be okay with calling it the Chinese thing. But it's not. It's COVID-19. Thank you.
Right. So the time travel thing, I'm not sure why, but seems like time travel seems to always come up with killing people. And so one of the questions our users generated was, apart from killing baby Hitler, what would you do with your time travel machine?
Oh boy. Well, well, once again, not killing babies. There's so many baby tyrants on the list. I mean, you got your Maos, you got your Stalins, you got your Pol Pots, you got your King Ferdinands. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And then you can start going to all your secondary characters. Oh my goodness. But you could do good. You can do good things. I don't know. Do you remember that TV show with Coach Taylor and the cat that brought him the newspaper every day that had and he skipped in through time and tried to change things up and stuff. I think you could like save a lot of people. And if you had a time machine, you could do anything. You could like you know like in Back to the Future, you could fuck your mom and stuff.
Oh God.
I'm sorry, did I go there? Wait a minute, I'm sorry. My bad.
All right. Falling back here, not as if I actually know what this word means, but AJ wants to know, do you prefer scalies or furries?
What was the first one?
Scalies?
Scalies. I know what Furbies are. I know what furries are. Um, I don't know scalies.
Oh, so I just looked it up. Scaly is like a furry, except they dress up as a reptile.
Oh, okay, okay. I will. I want to remain. I want to retain my neutrality on the issue, in the on the possibility that I'm ever asked to judge a furry versus scaly contest. Thank you.
Okay, good choice. Good choice. Um, and let's see here. Leto wants to know, will you join the great jihad against the thinking machines?
Once again, I know what all those words mean, and so I'd have to say probably.
All right. And Ido wants to know, um, why do you think Jesus told you to make Randall Terry gay? And they also want to add that they fully support the decision. Just curious.
Oh, I think Jesus just knew that Mr. Randall Terry needed to be made gay to understand what an absolute asshole that he was in the past, especially to his gay son, whom he disowned, and to the gay community at large for being just such a fucking asshole. So I imagine that's probably what Jesus was thinking when he told me to make Randall Terry gay with the magic sprinkle dust. Yes.
All right. So we've had a lot of, serious questions here, but, for a kind of jokey question, Mikester says that they've heard about your idea of a tax jubilee. Can you say a bit more about that?
Well, it is. I think it is time. Once again, yes, I keep forgetting what time and place we're in, and we are in a place in the world and the economy where everything's going to be coming due and nobody's going to have nothing, and it's going to have this ripple effect. So it seems like it's almost time for a full-on reset button, a full-on pause. And to that effect, I became somewhat enamored with the concept of the debt jubilee. And if you look up the debt jubilee, you will see that it is biblical in origin. And every 7 years in this particular kingdom, they would have full on debt forgiveness every 7 years. And so since that time, it's been used for this concept, this idea of massive debt forgiveness. And there has been some chatter about it out in the media. I mean, I googled it up the other day, and there was stuff going back to 2019. People talking about a debt jubilee for student debt and the like. So I think there are certainly certain levels of debt and certain categories of debt. Um, Certainly, money that might be owed to the government in the form of debt, because that becomes even less real. Could probably very easily be forgiven or written off, with the understanding that it was a, major uh, boost, or relief effort to the economy. I mean, it would prime the pump by just ditching this debt, especially the student debt. Yes. So yeah, it would be debt jubilee. Think about it. Hashtag debt jubilee. Um, Look it up on the internet for sure, and give it some very serious consideration. Um, yeah,
All
debt
right.
jubilee.
And Auburn Fighter has a question. What is the proudest moment of your life?
Right now, answering this very question. Boy, I don't know. There's been some. It's been a wonderful life. Been some pretty wonderful moments, and there's a lot of categories that would that could fit into. Don't know. I'll have to think about
So,
that. I'll think about that when I get back to you on that. 'Cause,
well, if I can give you some help here, a user just DM'd me and said to thank you for saving your mom.
well, thank you, because she can't. She's dead now, but I did indeed give her a kidney a number of years ago, and that she did get a good solid 10 years out of that. So there is that. I did indeed do that. I didn't know if that was a proud moment or not. That was sort of just a moment of stepping up, a moment of coming to the realization that I wasn't willing to be one of the ones at her funeral and saying, "Oh, wow, if only there was something that we could have done,"
Right.
when there was something that could have been done. And so yeah, I didn't give it really much thought. It just seemed the right thing to do. And if anybody out there has ever considered donating an organ or marrow or slice your liver or whatever, they'll take a lot these days. But of course, soon they'll be growing it all in the lab, so they won't have to do that. But until then, there are a lot of people on a lot of waiting lists, for a lot of body parts, and some of them you can spare. A few of them you can give up. So give that some consideration. Looking back on it, it wasn't too brutal because they do it all laparoscopically these days. And I was back on the playground within a couple weeks. Climbing ladders and stuff like that. So yeah.
All right. So I know most of the time we've got a little bit over an hour here now. We have been having fun joking around for the most part here, but that is obviously very serious, and it's a very kind and considerate thing. I mean, it is your family, but still, even doing that, it is a brave thing, and obviously, thank you for doing that, and also for encouraging others to do the same and donate.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I haven't done that for a while because it just seems so much in the distant past now with her past and all. But yeah,
All right.
sure.
So jumping back into it with these jokey questions, Krubnik wants to know, what's your policy regarding climate change?
Weather domes, man. We're gonna defeat the climate change with the big old weather domes and stuff. Yes, absolutely. Climate control. That's the way to do it.
All right. And let's see what else we got here. Oh my gosh. I'm not asking that question now. Ruby wants to know, do you watch anime?
I do not watch anime. I'm not sure where I would find anime. I guess I would type that into YouTube or something.
Yeah. Um,
So
can make a
so
joke, but I'm not gonna make a
so
joke.
ask me all the character names that you want to, and I might answer, but I will have no idea what I'm answering about.
All right. I will do that actually.
Anime back in my time was Speed Racer, okay? And we used to watch it on UHF television, all right? And in black and white. We used to watch Speed Racer in black and white. That's the anime I'm familiar with. All right, sorry, that's all.
All right. So you know what? I think this will be incredibly fun. Even though you don't watch anime, I'm gonna throw some anime questions at you. Um, what do you think about Alucard?
Oh, Alucard. Isn't that Dracula spelled backwards? I think.
Yes.
Yes. So obviously, a very magical and probably evil dude. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Naruto versus Thanos?
Oh, wait a minute. I think I recognize one of those names. I recognize both those names. So that would be hell. But Thanos obviously would crush fucking a vampire like with like nothing. Jeez, I mean, come on. He'd point his little finger and something, and a color would come out, and boom, or some shit. I don't know. Yeah.
And what do you think about the love relationship between Sypha and Simon?
Uh, it's a beautiful. It brings tears to my eyes.
All right. um,
I wish them the best in all their future endeavors. Um, I hope it works out.
me too. It's a beautiful relationship. Um, so get some of the other questions we've got here. I'm not sure what your schedule was like, but how do you feel about running until about 9 Eastern? Does that work for you?
Sure. That's a few more minutes. Sure, got it. Yep. No worries. Plenty. Yeah. You
Awesome.
betcha.
All right. So Leda wants to know: would you ever consider doing an interview with Alex Jones?
I would have to consider it, right? I would run it through my campaign staff, of course. I would definitely argue in favor because it would be so crazy. Yeah.
All right. And Actual Tomato wants to know: what are your thoughts on colonizing Mars or the Moon?
Colonize something.
All right. And let's see. Ya wants to know: how would you act as a wartime president fighting against authoritarianism?
With total authoritarian and dictatorial tendencies, for sure.
Don wants to know: will his pony come with any accessories?
Yes, all sorts of the armament. They come in different colors and sizes and flavors and different numbers of legs and different armaments available and unicorn conversion kits and for the possibilities are literally limitless.
Could you
Yeah.
give me some examples of some pony flavors?
Bubble gum, cotton candy, gravy, pot roast. Tutti Frutti, Lindberger, any flavor you like, any flavor you like. We have scientists working on that shit around the clock.
All right. Just please put in a good word. I like mine in bubblegum.
Betcha.
All right.
Do you like bubblegum?
I like bubblegum.
Right. Bubblegum it is.
I I prefer those ones, the one old fashioned ones come in like those little 5 packs. Was it double bubble? No, that's not the one. Bubble yum? Is that it? They come in squares.
Bazooka Joe? Is Bazooka Joe's in there?
Bazooka's good. Oh my gosh, that's so old fashioned. That's a time travel right there.
Little cartoons and stuff, the little Bazooka Joe cartoons.
All right.
That was a very strange distribution method for a media source, for an information source, for a cartoon. It was what was like an inch by 2 inch broadsheet, and it was wrapped. They wrapped gum with it, and you had to buy the gum and read the comic. It was a pretty funny little gimmick, really.
All right. Got some questions from users. I think I don't know how people didn't get this, but some people are confused that we're using ponies as a food reserve.
No, 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 no. Maybe.
Maybe.
Never. Only in hard times. Once again, the government does not encourage eating of your feral pony identification. If you consume your pony identification pony, there could be fines and possible jail time involved. I'm sure of that. Now, I hear Obama legalized horse meat. Is that true, or is that just one of those crazy rumors because he was a Muslim or some shit? I don't know. Um, no,
Hell if I
no,
know.
no. There's plenty of other mammals other than ponies. Um, but ponies are delicious, and they are low in cholesterol. So there is that. That's true.
All right. So I wasn't gonna ask this. I'm getting annoyed by it, so I will try to tactfully ask this. Um, anime, sorry, anime thighs or pectoralis major. Does that
What
make
now?
sense?
Say what? Say it again.
Anime thighs or pectoralis major.
I'm gonna go anime thighs because it's easy to pronounce.
All right. Let's see here. Obsidian wants to know what's your favorite Ben and Jerry's ice cream flavor.
Well, I hear they're thinking of coming out with like a Vermin Supreme flavor with like little rat chunks in it. Um, but I guess we'll see. Let's see. Yeah, I guess chocolate. Yeah, chocolate. Chunky monkey. No, no. One of those chocolate ones, I guess. No, caramel. I like their caramels. Yeah, yeah. Not picky. Don't eat it so much.
All right. So this seems like a joke, but I think there may be something very serious layered into this. Andrew Robertson wants to know what does your boot symbolize?
Ah, the boot symbolizes all that is good in America. The ability to wear a boot on your head if you want to. The boot is a signifier in a sense. It lets people know and an unsuspecting audience have come to the quick realization that the presentation they're about to receive may or may not be linear. Um, Sometimes I will tell the media when the media asks me on camera, I'll tell them the boot is a pile of shit and that they are the flies buzzing around it. Um, but I think the best part about the boot is that if you take a picture of me wearing the boot in any place, any crowd, anytime, anywhere, and you show that photograph to a child and you say to that kid, "Hey, what's wrong with this picture?" It's uh it's a it's a no-brainer. That guy has a boot on his head and that is wrong, and it's wrong because it makes no sense because it's opposite of societal expectation and norms. So it's a full on bold declaration of nonconformity and willingness to turn the world upside down for my amusement, I guess.
Okay. This is a little bit of a controversial question, but Al wants to know what are your opinions on birds?
Are they real? Are they government drones? I'm not sure, but either way, I like their little robotic chirping in the morning.
All right here.
And why do okay, answer me this. Why would robots shit on your car? If birds were drones, why would they poop on your car? Would is that the way they would design them to poop on your car just to fool you?
I
I'll
mean,
send
if
that.
you're taking up 2 parking spots, I'm 100% in favor of birds shitting on cars that take up 2 parking spots, aren't you?
Yeah, but I'm just saying if they weren't birds, if they weren't really birds, and they were really robot drones by the government to spy on you, why would they need to shit?
Well, Berkarov has an interesting point here. Doesn't the government shit on you anyways?
Yes, it does.
All right. So User Krupnik wants to know, what are your thoughts on big pharma and the oil fracking lobby?
Like any huge mega corporate receiving subsidies to lobby to receive subsidies. I think ultimately there's something hinky, some sort of corruption, some sort of collusion, if you will, between the lobbyists and the government um, and the industries and the crap that they're allowed to do. Would it be an affordable process if the frackers had to contain or deal or pay market price for that water or deal with that waste? Would it even be a feasible economic product if they were called into account for the damage, or if they had to prevent the damage that they're fucking doing, the poisoning of the wells, etc. Now, on the other hand, I have scientists working on a very special fracking fluid that is fluoridated and comes in 3 delicious flavors. It will still light on fire when it comes out of your faucet, um, but it will be good for you, but still poisonous and flammable. Yes.
Okay. So are you generally not in favor of lobbying?
Well, I just don't necessarily trust the lobbying process, K Street, as it were, in its current incarnation, which seems to consist of a never ending revolving door of politicians and members of administrations and like that, people with these high level connections that can somehow cajole politicians to to give them the tax breaks and the subsidies and the sums of the millions of dollars. And so there's something a little questionable going on there. Now, if we're just considering the word lobby, or people lobbying their representatives in government, if by that you mean giving them a phone call and giving their aides your opinion to pass on or take a tally of, that is a certainly acceptable use of the word lobbying, as in we are petitioning the government for redress of our grievances. um we are lobbying, but when it's a huge company that's paying this lobbyist just outrageous sums of money to try and get bigger outrageous sums of money. um yeah, it's I gotta question that, and the way just the K Street culture. I think the way that it's practically another part of the government in a sense.
Okay. So we've only got another 7 minutes left of you answering our annoying questions here. Uh, let's see here. Oh, Jesus, some of these questions, guys. Come on, guys. Should dueling be allowed?
Yeah, I mean, hey, what as long as it's consensual and nobody's pressured into it, or um, I mean, flogging is not legal in Massachusetts, last I heard, and that's certainly a consensual. I mean, when it's a consensual activity, I don't see what that problem is. And if you're dueling with like paintballs, sure. Nerf guns, yes. Actual firearms, as long as you've taken your firearm safety and first aid courses and sign the appropriate waivers, and if you must have the proper permits, of course, for that type of activity. And so you're going to have to want to go down to the DMV, the dueling motor administration, and get the proper permits, because dueling without a permit will simply not be tolerated. Thank you. I'm Vermin Supreme.
All right. Let's see here. What are some good questions we've got here? Come on, guys. Good ones. All right. So, American Legend says that we had this AMA plan before the quarantine order. He wants to know, did you have insider information that we should be told to shelter in place?
No, I did not have that information, and I, like many Americans, was sort of taking it fairly lightly. In fact, I was at the Illinois Libertarian Party state convention. I think that was March 13th, maybe, or 12th. And the Friday before that, I was in some nightclub, some fetish goth night, and it was hot and sweaty and crowded, and I was live streaming, and I was making light of it and telling people on the live stream, "Hey, if I catch the COVID, you know where I caught it, right there, right then." And then I came home from Chicago and sort of semi self quarantined for a couple weeks there. So no, if I had had a little inkling that that was going to be the way things shook out, but let's listen to those health professionals and assume that they know best, and ride this sucker out and do our plotting and do our planning and get the things done that we've been meaning to do, and try and get the things done that will put us in a position for surviving the strange new world. Start our gardens up and start brewing our own wine and our own beer, and trying to be, learn the fine art of canning, perhaps, for preserves and things of that nature. And there's some practical things that we will probably be keeping in mind as we go on into the future. Or now that we've experienced a pandemic in our lifetime, something that was previously unthinkable. And I think it's a real serious slap in the face, and we got to take it seriously and start thinking about these things.
All right. One of my many, many girlfriends says that she does canning, and she really appreciates that you are, advocating for canning. It's a wonderful thing for people to learn, just in case something else like this happens again in the future. Uh, Next question we've got here is from Doughboy. They they want to know, should a flag be banned because of its origins and history? For example, the Confederate flag or Nazi flag, communist flag with the hammer and sickle, etc.
A flag should always be burned.
All right, let's burn some flags here. How about books? Should we burn books?
I would not go that far. Now, once again, sometimes you have a book that gets moldy, and then
Hmm.
what? I guess you should recycle that shit. But still, I mean, disposing of books is always a little sticky task, and I would not recommend burning them unless, of course, you were doing so in some symbolic, artistic statement, free speech fashion, or fascist fashion, perhaps.
All right. And let's see. What are your thoughts on what's the term? I'm losing the term here. Someone's asking about this. Automation. Is automation a major concern for our country?
Well, I know this. I believe robots should be paid a living wage.
All right. So, final question. We're nearing the
Yeah,
end of
and
our
and
time. Go ahead.
I'd extend that to automatons also.
Automatons. What's the difference between a robot and an automaton?
A lot of worker drones today could be considered automatons.
Oh, okay. So, last question here before we wrap up. What would you do, and how could you help unite our country? There's been a lot of division with partisanship. How are you going to help fix that?
I am going to continue to promote the ideals of liberty, of interdependence, of mutual aid, of volunteerism, of charity, of love, and of compassion. And these are the things that will get us through our realization that we do have an interconnectedness and that we are stronger together than we are apart. Uh, that's the message that I want to spread to the people, and I hope that's the message that you get from it. In addition, of course, to that the emperor has no clothes, and we should all make fun of them. Because humor is very important. Obviously, humor is my number one stock in trade, and I do believe that we can use humor to help deflate this mess that we find ourselves in.
All right. Well, if anyone's interested in find out more about Vermin Supreme, I've linked his Twitter in announcements. The YouTube video, I am a
Okay,
meme, is also.
okay,
Go ahead.
verminsupreme2020.com. That needs to go there.
Uh,
Verminsupreme2020.com. On TikTok, I am my handle is at the real Vermin Supreme.
at
Uh,
the real Vermin Supreme.
correct. On
All
Twitter,
right.
okay, Twitter's at Vermin Supreme. Instagram is, I believe I don't even know that one. I think Vermin Supreme for President. It has a blue check mark. That was the for real one. And on Facebook, Vermin Supreme for President. That has a blue check mark. That is also the official one.
All right. Let me just grab this real quick. All right. I've got all that posted in announcements. Anyone wants to follow him, you can go to those pages, and I assume if they want to donate, they can go to your campaign website for that.
Yes, sir.
All
Absolutely.
right. So again, thank you so much for coming on, Vermin. We really appreciate it, and stay safe. Don't catch COVID. I want you to stay non-Chinese. Just kidding, of
Uh,
course. So again, thank you so much for coming on. Really
Well,
appreciate it.
thank you very much for having me. This has been a fun forum. I am pretty tickled at the fact that most of the questions were humorous in nature. That's in pretend, so that's a pretty fun thing. And thank you very much. It's been a whole lot of fun. Take care.
Thank you. You too.